It's no exaggeration to say that this GCM video could revolutionise your cycling, because your head can make or break your ability on the bike. So coming up are some tips on how to get the most out of it, but first we need to talk about pain. When we're riding really fast or for a really long time, our physiology limits our performance. So that's things like our muscles and our heart and our lungs. And we know when we're getting towards our limits because typically our breathing gets uncontrollably fast and we get pain in our legs. But have you ever wondered whether or not that pain you're feeling is really your body saying no, or actually your head? Because there's been an awful lot of research done, and a lot of it quite recent, that says that a lot of it may well indeed be your head. So for example, a couple of years back, there was an article printed in the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Sports Science, and they had shown that actually tolerance of exercise-induced pain was a fantastic indicator of a cyclist's ability to time trial. And then there's an awful lot of weird stuff going on as well, where researchers are actually using non-invasive techniques to manipulate nerves. And so they've been able to reduce exercise-induced pain by up to 12%. And then that had a knock-on effect of improving a person's ability by 38%. So if our bodies are capable of so much more, then how are we going to take off the rev limiter? Firstly, how your legs are feeling isn't actually important. When I first heard that statement, I must say I was taken aback, because as cyclists, we're always told to listen to our bodies and to learn to read the signals. But actually, it's very easy, and particularly for experienced cyclists, to start to get it wrong. So if you, for example, start listening carefully to pro cyclists who are struggling with race results in post-race interviews, more often than not, you'll actually hear them talk about their legs and their bodies as if they're somehow separate from the rest of them. So they'll say things like,
I just couldn't go into the red today.
Or,
yeah, the body just wasn't really responding today.
Or,
well, my legs just weren't working properly today.
And admittedly, if we start exploring that issue, then it leads us to a very dark and complex place. But the simple answer is just stop listening to your body. Take a leaf out of Jens Voch's book and tell your legs to shut up.
And I think I had lactic acid up to my eyebrows.
Or take one step further and actually don't even ask the questions of your legs anymore. And actually, although it's a very subtle difference sometimes, instead of thinking, oh, I need to press harder on the pedals now, if you instead think, oh, I'm going to go faster, it can actually have a really powerful effect on your mental state on the bike. A lot of riders also get great results from using distraction techniques in order to block out the pain, particularly on long climbs like this one. So there are loads of different ways of doing it, but very simply you could just try counting. So every half pedal revolution until you get up to 10, then going back to 0 again. And that's also got a positive knock-on effect of allowing you to maintain a specific cadence and therefore also pace. But for less performance-oriented riders, you could get some pretty good results out of singing.
People try to put us down, talking about my generation.
You see, I think it'd be almost impossible to feel pain at the same time as singing something like this. Bread of heaven, feed me now and nevermore. Admittedly, some scientific research may well be needed in order to back up that statement. Feed me now and nevermore. Okay, so the jury may well be out on singing, but there is genuine scientific validation for the performance benefits of swearing. Because researchers at the University of Kiel in the UK showed that in a 30-second max sprint, that actually swearing gave an improvement on average of 24 watts. Now clearly, there's no distraction techniques going on there. So what actually is happening? Well, the researchers think that swearing puts your body into fight or flight mode, and as well as triggering adrenaline production, it also stimulates stress-induced pain relief. So, genuine performance benefits to be had. Although, let's face it, to preserve the peace and tranquility of our mountain climbs, maybe we should save it for short intervals and also do it quietly. Come on, you turn those pedals, for crying out loud! Come on! Come on, you pedal! Now, unfortunately, there will be many occasions where you can't ignore the pain, but what you can definitely do is improve your tolerance of it. I suspect most of us cyclists really are slightly masochistic in that we actively enjoy the pain that we feel when riding up hills fast, for example. And that enjoyment is incredibly powerful because it actually allows us to tolerate more of that pain. But it is also very easy to go from perceiving it as good pain to bad pain. We are not robots, and our emotions can very easily tip us into a completely different frame of mind. It might be that you suddenly notice that the person riding next to you isn't breathing as hard as you, or a really common one, you turn a corner and only to see that the summit of the climb isn't meters away, it's kilometers away. And at that moment, I can guarantee the pain in your legs will suddenly increase, your tolerance of it will decrease, and your performance drops off a cliff. The way through it, though, is actually just to recognize when these moments happen, because realistically, you're never going to be able to stop negative thoughts. But what you can do is choose to ignore them and then think about something different, something positive. So you can think about how far you've already come up the climb, or how fast you've been going, or how many riders have already been dropped. Think positively, not negatively. You may well find, though, that there are times when the task at hand just feels completely overwhelming. You might be midway through an epic ride or halfway up a monster climb, and in either case, the finish line could just very well feel an awfully long way away and actually be completely unmanageable. But if that is the case, then the solution could be a very simple one, because instead of focusing on the finish, you can just break the task down into manageable chunks. So focus instead on the next hairpin bend or one more kilometre, because you can always do one more kilometre, even if it might not feel like you can do 100. And then you can take it on one step further as well by actually rewarding yourself when you've achieved that particular task. It could be something as simple as taking a sip from your bottle if you've got a sweet tasting drink in there, because research has shown consistently that even the sensation of having something sweet in your mouth is considered a reward by your body, and therefore it actually acts as a performance enhancer. You don't have to swallow any carbohydrate, but just the sensation of it in your mouth will improve your endurance. Bonkers. Now, much of what we've talked about already is very internal. So how we as individuals manage or tolerate or block out pain. But actually for a lot of us, external factors can have a huge influence. So perhaps the roar of the crowd as you ride past will really spur you on. But then it can also have very negative effects as well, as you catch the sound of a lone passerby commenting about how tired you look as you ride past, which will then have you weeping silently into your handlebars. But nevertheless, you can harness the power of external factors through visualization techniques. So remembering consistently and repeatedly those moments where a crowd has spurred you on. And really powerfully is actually using loved ones, someone special to you, as some form of inspiration. Whatever you're doing it for them. You can push harder for them, you can go further for them. Now, it might be slightly dark again, but nevertheless, It's a really good tip actually, and it's worth having it in your back pocket for special occasions. There's a number of points there that you can try. Remember to not accept pain for what it is. You can try and block it out. You can also harness the power of a positive mental attitude. You can use visualization techniques. You can use the stimulus of rewards. And you can also swear from time to time if that also floats your boat. Now, before leaving this video, make sure you subscribe to GCN. It's very simple. Just click on the globe, and then if you're after more content, well, in the same vein as thinking yourself faster, there's an old but a good one up there, which is how to ride faster for free. And then down there, you can't ignore the power of training, but also pain tolerance can come from some dirty interval sessions. And that one is one of our toughest indoor training sessions yet.